Hey guys. So, what happens to you when you die? People have been wondering this for uh, whew, ages, right? For since time immemorial. Is it immemorial? Memorial? I don't know. And this is, the question that all of man's, the religions try to answer and all these things. So, I have my own beliefs, and I'm going to tell you what those are, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by belief. I have a video about beliefs and knowing and versus beliefs, and there's two different kinds of belief. There is the majority of belief, people that believe in something. The majority of them, they got their beliefs from someone else. So someone told them something and they believed it. There is some people that would be different from people who seek out different things and then sort of formulate their own beliefs and choose to believe something even though they can't prove it. So a belief is something like that you can't really prove, that something that isn't tangible. I believe it. But there's different kinds of beliefs. There's sort of like the ignorant, and when I say ignorant, I don't mean stupid. I mean like there's sort of the beliefs that you're given, and then there's sort of the beliefs that you kind of come to on your own and that you agree that I believe this thing even though I can't prove it. So this is the second category, what I'm going to tell you. What I've done is I've sort of gathered all of the information that I am aware of in this current moment in time. I've gathered all the information that I'm aware of from all the different traditions, and from metaphysics and physics and mathematics and religion and science, and I've gathered all of these things and to what I believe happens when you die, what I believe you are, and what happens when you die. Okay? So, I find it weird. I don't know if it's weird, ironic, funny, I don't know, that we live in what most people would say is a Christian nation. And yet it seems like everyone is so afraid to die. And they're so shook when people die. It's kind of amazing to me, right? If you believe that when you die you're going to heaven, or when your loved one dies that they went to heaven or are going to heaven, why are people so shook when people die? Or why are they so shook about their own death? Okay, and this channel is called Life After 40. And 40 tends to be, one of those times in life where you start to see, like, I've got about as much life left as I've lived up to this point. So I'm just kind of at the halfway point of life. And that can be really challenging for a lot of people. And that's what we'd call like a midlife crisis or something. It's like, I'm halfway dead. That's what I call it. And now I've had this come to Jesus meeting, but I'm totally okay with it. Like, in a way, I look forward to it. Now, how can I be like that? We live in a country, a Christian nation, where everyone's just so scared to death and so shook at the idea of people dying. It's because they don't really believe what they say they believe. It's because their beliefs were the kind that were given to them. That, somebody said, you have to believe this and then you'll be saved. They they tell you that what you need to be saved from, but there's nothing you need to be saved from. You don't need to be saved from anything. You don't, your belief doesn't matter on where you go. It doesn't. Your beliefs can't save you. A belief? How does a belief save you? It doesn't save you. It might make you feel better in the moment, but your belief doesn't save you. There's nothing to be saved from. These beliefs that people just assume, they're just kind of silly. It's kind of silly to think that I can believe something and then that's the ticket. I just have to believe it. If you just had to believe it, everybody would just believe it. And see, that's kind of the trap that everybody falls into. They just believe it, but they really don't believe it because then they're scared. They are scared to death of dying. They're so scared of dying because they don't really believe it, because they don't really believe it. Because it's fucking silly to just believe that you can believe something and that you're okay. Come on, man. You gotta be smarter than that. That might work for the lower half of the population, but that ain't gonna work for somebody like me, or it's not gonna work for a lot of people. I'm not gonna say most. It's not gonna work for a lot of people. Okay, and it doesn't, and it clearly doesn't. So, what do I believe? Let's get to it so we can make this video short. Like I said, these are things that I've gathered together, everything, and I've put it into an equation, and I've done the math, and this is what I believe. I'm not saying it's what you have to believe. It's my best guess. And not only that, it's what I choose to believe, because that's really what's important. Because those are the things that really affect your life, what you choose to believe. That's something we talked about in a previous video. What you choose to believe about yourself, okay, is very important. It's very important. What you choose to believe about yourself will shape your entire life. Okay? Remember, this is what what the authors of the Bible are trying to tell you about Adam and Eve in the garden, right? Okay, so let's get to it. I believe that you are light and that you came from light. Now, when I say that, I don't mean the white light, this visible white light. That's not really what I mean. I hear the dog or something upstairs. So there's a small portion of white light called visible light, and that's what our eyes are tuned to see. That's how we see the world. Okay, but that's not really what I mean. And the light spectrum is actually much, much bigger. Okay, different animals see different things. Like I think a lot of lizards, snakes. They see more like thermal imaging, which is really cool, by the way. But that's how they see the world. Now, we don't see that way, right? Even dogs can sense. You ever wonder why the dog always, if you get up from the couch, the dog always comes and takes your spot? It's because they can sense heat. We can't sense heat. We can feel heat, but we can't sense it. I can't be like, oh, it's hot over there. I don't know, unless I go over there. So, light. You're light. You came from the light, and you are light. Okay, this is even a reference in the Bible. God is light, and you are made in the likeness of God. You are the light. You are light. That's where you came from. That's what you are. And if you get in touch with your innermost self, like the part of you that doesn't really have a name, like the part, like the ground of being, some people might call it, that you behind the curtain, if you get in touch with that, you'll know that that part of you didn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. It's kind of always been. It's very strange, but I encourage you to get in touch with that. Like, you just can just sit and you just kind of like get in touch with that part of you that isn't you, that's in all of us. And that part of you, it came from the light, and it is the light. And when the sperm, when the sperm meets the egg, it emits light. You are the light. You are the light. And the light doesn't end. It just keeps going on. It just maybe transforms into a different place or a different time or something along those lines. So you are the light, and when you die, you return to the light. You return to whence you came, okay? And then maybe you go somewhere else. I was thinking about this earlier. Maybe we have trillions of galaxies, right, in the universe, and you're experiencing right now the Earth and the Milky Way galaxy, and then you die, right, and then the light from whence you came, you zoom over to Andromeda, and then you have an experience in Andromeda or whatever. Then this is just all theory. I don't really actually believe this. This is just something I'm throwing out there. And then you spend 100 years or whatever it would be over there, and then you zoom to the next one, right? And there's a trillion of those galaxies out there. Now imagine if that's just an endless loop. And then imagine, you're spending 100 years, whatever Earth years, in every single galaxy, and then you're on an endless loop. So say there is a trillion even, and a trillion and one, you find yourself back here to Earth to do your 100 years for the trillionth time, and then you've got, that's a trillion, 100, say that goes on a trillion times, it's a trillion, 100 trillions, which sounds like eternity. I don't know. It's just weird. Something I'm throwing out there. That's something that I don't really know. I'm just saying. But what I do know is that you're the light, and that you return to the light when you die. All of us do. So there's no hell. You're not going to go roast forever in some eternal fire. That's not a thing. You're the light, and you go back to the light. Why are you here on Earth? What's the point of being here now? Because if you were the light, why wouldn't you just stay the light? Well, I think what's happened is that I believe that there is a creative force, and the creative force is the greatest of all greatness. Okay, so I think what this earth is a place where you get to experience all this. So you get to experience having this meat suit, and you get to experience everything in the garden, right? That's what, like in the Bible, right? God put mankind in the garden to tend to the garden and to sort of be fruitful and multiply and experience the garden and everything that it has. Every experience, whether it be positive or negative, and those are all sort of, a spectrum, right? Just because something's negative to you doesn't mean that it's negative to another person. And, people who, I'll just say, for example, you'd say pain, right? But there's some people that like pain. There's some people that get off on the pain, which is weird enough to say, but you look at somebody who has tattoos from head to toe and tell me that person doesn't get off on the pain. Those tattoos are painful. I've got a few of them. They're painful, right? But that person, at some sick way, I guess we could call it sick, enjoys it a little bit. Even me, like the pain, it hurts, but there's something in there. There's a feeling in it. This is why people cut. And of course, we could get into tattoos and how they represent trauma and different things. And obviously cutting would be the same thing, but what I'm trying to tell you is that you're here to experience everything, both pleasurable and not pleasurable. And that's That's what it is. That's why you're here. It's a great gift. It's a great gift. The garden, earth, it's a great gift. Given to you. I think that it's given to you. You were placed here to enjoy this. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Just look around, you know? I mean, I know that if you live like in a city or something, it's you know, it's still pretty awe-inspiring on what us monkeys, us apes can do, you know, and the things that we can accomplish. But there's nothing like being out in the woods or on top of a mountain or something. There's no words for it. And this is what you're supposed to be doing with your life, in closest alignment to your authentic self as possible, because that's how you can really, really experience things. Like, look at a child. A child is 100% authentic, and look how they experience things. Man, everything is awesome, right? That's what you're supposed to be like too. That's what you're supposed to do with this world. So what happens to you after you die? Well, you just go back to the light. Now, what if you're a bad person? We gotta, you know, we feel so strongly that we have to punish the sinners. Like we have to punish Hitler, right? And so we'll just use Hitler as an example. Hitler has to be punished for his sins, you know, because his life wasn't punishment enough. But, you know, there's a sense in part of me too that has a hard time reconciling that as well. Like, surely there has to be some kind of punishment for someone as bad as Hitler. And, you know, and I don't know. I do think that there could be something to a sort of purgatory-esque type thing. I think, you know, you even look at Paul's letters in the New Testament, by the way, most of which are forgeries. But you look at those, and he even talks about it somewhere in one of them about somehow souls being cleansed or something. I'd have to go back and look at it again in probably every different translation. And you know, you can't just do one translation. These people that are like King James only are the biggest idiots of all time. Did you know that the Bible is actually not translated from the original scripts? That it's actually translated from a translation that was brought about, I think it was written like in the 1600s, something like that. Forgot what it's called. It's is it the Messianic something? Anyway, that's kind of getting off topic. But so a purgatory type S thing, maybe, you know, I think that you could ask, I think if you asked yourself and you ask the guy with all the tattoos, what's more painful? The tattoos, right? The physical pain from the tattoos or the mental pain of the trauma? And we all know the answer to that. So a physical hell, a burning hell, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That isn't even an adequate punishment. But there could be a sort of cleansing process, sort of a psychological punishment that results in a cleansing process and a return to the light. That could be a possibility. I don't know. It could be a possibility, though, for everyone. So, but what this does, believing that everyone is going to go to heaven, if that's what you want to call it, what it does for me, and this is the thing about the beliefs that you choose, they should do something for you. Otherwise, what's the point in believing them? They should do something for you. And what they do for me is they help me to be less judgmental, especially to people that, you know, people near me and people that I don't even know. Like, I don't know my neighbors very well, you know, but I'm pretty sure that my neighbor isn't Hitler. And so my neighbors, they're going the same place I'm going. We're all going the same place. We're all going the same place. You know? So, you know, I'm not throwing people into hell. Everybody's going to heaven. That's a great thing, if that's what you want to say. If you want to call it heaven, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a little bit loaded. People have, like, they think of like the pearly gates and all this stuff. But yeah, when you die, you go from whence you came. So we shouldn't look at death with this horrible, horrible vein. And I've done it, and I may do it. If someone close to me died, I'd be split, honestly. I think I'd be split. I mean, I don't want to predict what would happen, but I think I'd be split. I think I'm smart enough to say, yeah, there'd be part of me that would really, really be upset, but I think there'd be another part of me that would be really overjoyed for the person. Really. And I hope that's what people would, the overjoyed part, when I die, I want people to be overjoyed, because, dude, I'm going like, I'm not in a hurry to get there, right? Because I want to still experience this place, but I don't not look forward to it. Why wouldn't I? It's just another adventure. It's another adventure, and funerals, we have funerals here. But funerals aren't for the dead people. Funerals are for the people that are still living, so that they can mourn the dead. I don't know if you remember, but Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. And it sounds like a lot like when he says that the poor will always be with you. There's some things that you can't change. So move on and look at it differently. Repent, which means the word metanoia. Repent is metanoia in Greek, I guess, which means to change your mind. So change your mind about that. Change your mind about death. Repent of your thoughts of death. Change your mind about it, and realize that it's not something that's so dreadful. It's actually a release. It's a release. It's a release, especially for someone that has experienced a lot of pain here on earth. This is a release. Yeah, all of us have experienced pain, and all of us deserve a release. Some people more than others, but think about it that way. It's a release. People get older, and when you get older, you start to, shit, man, I'm only 40, and I'm already starting to feel it. You start to get to where you can't do the things that you used to be able to do, and when you get older, life starts to become a burden. No matter, you could even be in relatively good health, and your life starts to become a burden. It gets harder to do everything. There's things that you have to do that you would have never dreamed that you would have had to do when you were younger, and things become a burden. And then you get released from that. And that's fantastic. That's fantastic. We should celebrate that. So don't be afraid of death. Don't lose your shit and freak out when there's people that die, because they're winning. They won the lottery, I guess. The lottery, that sounds weird, because we're all going to end up winning that lottery eventually. But they're winning. They won, And the more life that they were able to experience in an authentic way, the more they won. They won the game on Earth. Now they're going to get to go try again somewhere else, whether it be in heaven or whether it be in Andromeda, or I don't know. Maybe they come back here. Now that would seem kind of weird. What would be the point? Like if you just left here and then you came back here and you have no memory. I don't get it. That almost sounds like torture. Anyway, this video's long enough. I never meant for it to be this long. So don't be afraid of death. It's silly that people are afraid of death. Hell doesn't exist. Everybody goes to heaven. You're here to experience this place, to experience the garden. Enjoy it. Don't take it so seriously, and get it as close to your authentic self as you possibly can, and you'll enjoy it just that much more. And I think you'll start to see that what I'm saying could be your belief too. The belief that you choose, not the one that somebody just told you was right.